Sanje Jodain, Soje Jonaim Lai Janjo, Bardo and Danian Jabsu, Dage Jinso and Jibe Sanamje, Dolai Benjre Sanje, Dobrai Shoy Sanje, Jodain Soje Jonam Lai Janjo, Bardo and Danian Jabsu. Dage Jinso and Jibe Sanamje, Dolai Benjre Sanje, Dobrai Shoy Sanje, Jodain Soje Jonam. Changjo Bardo and Danian Jabso, Dage Jinso, Jibe Sanam, Dolai Benjre Sanje, Dobrai Shoy, Simjan Damjen, Dewan Dan Devi, Judain, Dembroin, Dungen Dan, Dungen Gen, Judain, Davrain, Jujen, Dungen Meben, Dewan Damban Dan, Mindrawan, Niren Chadan, Nidan, Daven, Danyam Jembo, Lan, Nebrain, Juroin, Simjan, Damjen, Dewan, Dan, Deven, Judan, Dembrain, Dungan, Dan, Dungelgen, Judan, Dawain, Jujen, Dungen Meben, Dewan, Damban, Dan, Mindrawa. Onyam Jembo, Lan, Nebrain, Juroin, Simjan, Damjen, Dewan, Dan, Deven, Judan, Dembrain, Jujen, Dungan, Dan, Dungelgen, Judan, Davrain, Dungen Meben, Dewan, Damban, Dan, Mindawain, Jujen, Niren, Chadan, Nidam. Onyam Jembo, Lan, Nebrain, Juroin, Chazo, Wadan, Jujen, Shaban, Dan, Jizo, Yirain, Gushen, So, Gyalwa Jungse Dagyen Jizaban Tamjen Zobe Jangjo Jengoi Sashi Bichi Jukshe Medoy Dam Rirab Lingshe Nide Jemba Sanje Shindo Mide Pawayin Drogen Namda Shinlan Jubrai Shoy Simje Namje Samban Dan Loye Jida Jida Chujun Timun Tegbayin Chujun Koloy Gorondoy Zo.
Good afternoon. I hope all of you are well. I also greet all the viewers as well. So, we are here once again in this lovely continent, yes, Jambudvipa. Child or children, you know. So if we follow their way, you know, misguided compassion, then what happens is not only we will not save those who are drowning, but at the same time we will drown ourselves. And it's a sorry state, you know. But of course, it's not to say that that is the end, you know, the finale. For example, when we ask, what is Mahamudra, what is Mahamudra? We don't quite know what we are asking sometimes, you know. And in some ways, it's almost kind of saying, we want a finale, we want a finale, because we heard too much about fruition aspect, you know, too much. And so therefore, we don't know what we are asking. We have become almost robotic, you know. And so therefore, from the 12th verse, it's saying, if you follow this old system, it's nothing about old guard, new guard idea. But at the same time, if we cling onto the past, not that it's evil in any way, not that it's to use words like stale and withering or something like that, yes. But to mean it in the most beautiful way one can put, by saying children or childlike. So as long as we tag along, drogna means tag along, then what will happen is then the 8 worldly dhammas will rise. That we will constantly seek for praise, and at the same time we will constantly try to destroy what is always refreshing, criticism, and so therefore we will basically become like our surrounding. And so therefore, Khorwar Gave Tamla So Mige Chijang Yapranjong, the last 2 verses of the 12th, basically saying we will find all sorts of ways, to legitimize why we need to hang on to the past. And so therefore, constantly we will create all sorts of chatters. Tam, lasso means all kinds of chatters, all kinds of rumination, all kinds of ideas. And through that, then basically we are not letting go of the past. And as a result, then migewa, jijang yepranjong, means that migewa, not that it's evil, but basically one that doesn't bring joy, one that doesn't bring freshness, one that will always consume us, make us feel stuck, basically. Yeah. If we hang on too much to the past, we will feel stuck, yes, and we will not be able to move forward if our life is a linear one. And therefore, for now, as beginners, in the 14th verse, it says, so therefore, keep distance. It's very generalized, saying keep distance or be far away from these so-called children. And so therefore, distance, I always said, not as part of the teaching, of course, just my own interpretation, then keep the right kind of distance if I have to be very particular. But in general it says keep distance, it's saying stay far away in general. But if that's too emotional, then we can say keep the right distance, appropriate distance. If the word right is also sounds too extreme. Then keep the appropriate amount of distance. And so therefore, what Einstein said, it's very valid here, that by saying something like, and the third rock from the sun, is very appropriate, because it's not too close to the sun, it's not too far away from the sun, and therefore, well, I don't know if he really said it that way, but somehow things happen, or life happens. And so therefore, Jili Tharing Dorje, and so therefore, it sounds like saying escape, but escape to the point where it is appropriate. And then the last two verses says, the last three verses, sorry. And so therefore, this is extremely, these three verses are, I think, very, very essential, I feel. It's saying, it's very poetically put, I don't know, I won't be so bold as to say what I said just now is validated, But if you like it, you can take it that way. Yeah. And so the meaning is to say that it's inevitable that we will bump into each other, out of nowhere. Passing by the neighborhood or the favorite coffee shop, we will bump into each other, every now and then. And so therefore, that time, should one feel awkward now, what should we say, what should we do? Did I think through in terms of what I wore this morning, in front of my ex, Do I look appropriate? Do I look, I'm over it, Yeah. And because we cannot plan for that, yes. And so therefore, what is the right way to manage that, or deal with it, or work with it? And so therefore, flexibility probably comes to mind, I suppose. But as part of the previous chapters, being mindful that somehow this will always be the case, or this might be the case. It's inevitable, yeah. And so therefore, should that moment arise, because we cannot plan for it, we just cannot, yeah. If we have to, then we have to think till the end of time. And we will miss out on all sorts of beauties, all sorts of wonderful things, simple things, enjoying a wonderful sunrise, sunsets, whatnot. And so therefore, should that moment rise, then what to do, And so therefore, first of all, remember that we are beginners, There's no shame about it. There's no, it is not a case where we have to be embarrassed that I'm a beginner, No. Or we say accepting karma, and so this is it. we want to talk so much, we want to question so much about karma, here it is. So therefore, should those conditions arise, because I don't know whether to say individual or collective karma or general karma, because it's the same neighborhood, it's the same coffee shop, or tea house. That was more common, I think, in these parts of the world. Whereas the coffee shop, or Tibetans we say tsikja, means basically burnt tea. I believe there was once a famous monk back in Rumtek who said, "What's this fuss about burnt tea? I can do it." So then he roasted tea further and then said, "Here, today I'm serving roasted or burnt tea." He thought, that's coffee. So, it's inevitable, because no matter how large the world is, no matter how small the world is, it doesn't matter as long as we are experiencing a similar pattern, probably rather than saying same condition, similar pattern. It's kind of inevitable. At some point we will bump, and so therefore, now how do I treat this this experience? And so therefore, just say, hey, hi, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, And so that conversation between Gandalf the Grey and Bilbo Baggins is very interesting, yes? When they greeted each other with good morning, And so like that, we don't have to become too philosophical, There is a right time and a right place to be philosophical. Yet at the same time, there is a certain place where we can be very practical. And so therefore, just greet, be cordial, be diplomatic in this case, and say hi, hello, nice to meet you, how are you, exchange pleasantries about the weather, and it'll be fine. Yet Ndichen means no point. It's not saying don't, please don't, pleading by saying please don't become too acquainted. That's not the point. Shantideva is not saying that. He's basically saying no point, because he went through that. He himself went through that, through and through. And so therefore, somehow, according to his personal experience, there is no point. And so therefore, tamal pacham lekpacha, meaning keep it very ordinary, diplomatic, cordial. Not to say, keep it. Now, of course, we can say, we have words like keep it casual, But then sometimes we can demonize terms like keep it casual and diplomatic, but not in that sense. But what is very apparently said here is, it says, discovery. If we are a discoverer, finder, finders keepers, and so therefore, if you think that being a pioneer, finding and discovering so many things that we do, it seems to somehow, if we, well, not necessarily from an aspect or pattern, but somehow the mood of my surrounding, my society changes, that I happen to be the first one to discover something. Oil. Black gold, I don't know. And so therefore I will be respected, loved, maybe not, maybe feared, and so therefore Tendi Nyemba Changjuna means it's the third line. If we believe in that, if we cling to that, then it is certain that we will have all kinds of pollutions, not just in this life, but in the next. If he would like to entertain that idea of there is a tomorrow. Today would be ruined as well as tomorrow will be also equally ruined and further. We will give birth to such fears. And so, the 17th verse says, if you further fall into this trap of thinking I will be loved, respected, feared because of my power, position, fortune, power, fortune, fame, as I used to say, then we will become basically we will be basically ignoring. We feel that there is a big uproar, a lot of busyness, and business is booming, My fame is booming, my fortune is booming, and as a result, we will neglect, ignore the real underlying nature of how a phenomena booms, out of nowhere actually. And if you fall into that kind of pattern, mungbi yi means that kind of pattern, then as a sort of aftermath or the effect of it is that then we will continuously, whatever we desire, whatever we think is it, it'll turn into nothing but a source of more frustration, or dukkha. And it's not just increased by just 1% regularly, But because we neglected and ignored today, by tomorrow is 2 times, by day after is 3 times. And likewise, by believing, the stronger the faith we have in that action, in that act of ignoring, it'll multiply, not just into 1 into 2, but 1 into 100, times 100, times 1,000, and so on. And before we know it, it'll be too much. And like I said yesterday, at some point it's too much, so therefore we will feel like we will want to there is no choice but to self-destruct. Therefore, then the 18th verse says, those who are wise, those who are experienced, don't fall into those traps, or don't fall into the net of desire, thinking that this is it, because they know that through that fixation, then fear will arise. Fear will inevitably, generate more and more. What would we really want to? What would we really like? Yes, if you ask, as a general question, it would be none other than, I want to be fearless. Jig me in Tibetan term, or mi pam, It means I want to be fearless, and it's being very, very honest. Yet at the same time, we don't know how to be, and so therefore there is a reason, there is meaning. Not reason in terms of logic, but there is meaning, there is an essence, there is a point to follow the ways of the wise. By abandoning, if that sounds too extreme, right distance, we're not trying to destroy them. Destroy the idea of desire, ambition, Not it can never be vanquished, but if you keep the right distance, then it's all right. Because as long as we have some form of either cause or condition of fear, then however, I think you see it's another way, the last two verses. And the wise will abandon this kind of pattern, and therefore they will find stability, and that's what they realize, not just, epiphany or something, out of nowhere, but direct experience, complete experience. And so therefore then from the 19th verse it says, Nye patane manjanshin, Jadan nyemba chundujan, nyedan tabe sujide, kandon dombe tomet. And so all these sort of findings or discoveries, yes, it seems that it feels like there's a benefit to discover something. I never knew that I could turn this into business. And I never knew that through this I will get fame. And through this I will hear all sorts of songs about me, And for millennia or centuries, songs about me will continue, It's funny, isn't it? When we, at the beginning, it's all about survival and being as efficient as possible. When we come near the end, the so-called end, in terms of age, frailty, and so on, then we begin to, that's what we call the misguided sort of idea of being wise. That we think, okay, now how will I be remembered? How will I be known for? And the action will slowly change from that youthful quality. It will diminish out of fear. That I realize that I cannot survive now. I thought I could, but I tried everything: medication, hygiene, proper sleep, proper this, proper that. Now I have come to a point where I can no longer. It's that feeling like as if finally Dharma got to me. Buddha Dharma got to me, and it's a very strange, mixed up feeling. On some sense, I feel like now I know Dharma. Yet at the same time, I haven't abandoned. I haven't let go. Rather than abandonment, probably let go is a better word in this case. I haven't let go of that actual fear, and so therefore I begin to, because the investigators are coming, the investigators are catching up to me, yes. And so therefore now how will I be remembered? How do I want to be known? And so therefore what seemed like a fearless reputation that I had when I was youthful, They said, well, that fella used to be amazing, How come now suddenly has become a chicken? And so therefore, it's just an expression, of course. Chickens are very proud, very fearless. So, okay, I went quite far, I realized. Coming back, down to earth, yes. And so therefore, yes. And so therefore, hearing beautiful things about me, yes, fame, that's where we were. And so therefore, I will just go on a little bit further in that aspect. And so therefore, there is no point, that's what Shantideva is saying at the end. Monuments, all forms of immortalization, may be erected, pyramids, and this and that, just so that my name will live on, my legacy will live on, and so forth. Yeah. And so therefore, along with all of that, let's say, for a second, that's what Shantideva is saying. My discovery, my action, my reputation, my fame, my fortune, let's say that they will not diminish. Will I be able to take it with me, Not just to my grave, but let's say there is a tomorrow. Will I be able to take this with me to tomorrow? Then I think, or what Shantideva is saying or implying is that neither the spiritual seekers nor the day-to-day good Joe, would agree in this case that you can take it with you. We just cannot. It's just not reasonable. It's not meaningful. It's not logical. Even the most practical people who are not bothering about spirituality, even they will be able to agree that no, you cannot. You have to leave it behind. And so therefore, it's impossible. Tolmed, dongbe tolmed, you cannot go together with it. It's impossible. Then, furthermore, from the 20th verse, it says, Dala meba jiyuna tebe dagra chishiyu, Dala teba jiyuna mebe megar chishiyu. Semje meba nazuba jewe jana megona dandrangembe mechiku. I read both the 20th and the 21st. And so therefore, from that perspective, if fame doesn't belong to me, that's the thing. Because when we say, when I become a pioneer, when I become a discoverer of this and that, the illusion is there as if I found it, I was the one. Yet at the same time, if we think through with the art of dhyana, then we discover that actually it doesn't belong to me. It may be a very, very emotional thing to go through. To break down. Break down means like to put it into components, in that sense, not break down. But if you put it into different segments, which they appear like with greater samadhi, then we will discover that the so-called respect, the so-called fear, love, cherishment, all this, metaphorically speaking, it belongs to the others, not me. They agreed that I'm famous. They agreed that I'm powerful. They agreed that I'm reputable or I have a good reputation. And so therefore, then from the wise one's perspective, then one can see that. And so therefore, one is no more bothered by criticism nor by praise, because it belongs to them. It doesn't belong to me. What I do, not in a depressing way by saying it doesn't matter, I don't matter, not in that depressing sense, but being very, very clear, being very, very sort of truthful and genuine and sincere, we will be able to see that it's just an agreement, If they can agree that I'm it, anytime they can agree that I'm not it, So why do I bother? If they can make me, they can sort of unmake me, sort of thing. And so why should I bother? And so therefore there is no point. And with the 21st verse, the 4 lines basically saying, now Shantideva is not saying, believe me, the sleeping one, the eating one, and the one who goes to the toilet, don't believe me. If you feel, I get your point, but what if, And so in this case it's saying, if you feel that the Tathagatas, the victorious ones, if you, because what they say, what they interpret, what they show, this we can all agree, no matter what, that what they do, did, English-wise, yes. Otherwise, what they do and what they say, we cannot find a noun, a verb, a sentence, a structure, a paragraph, a volume where you feel that it was for them, and it changes so fast also. It's not like saying for the next 5-year plan or 10-year plan or the 30-year plan or the century plan, But day to day it changes, from minute to minute it changes. And so therefore, that even the victorious ones, the enlightened ones, the truly experienced ones, it's basically being very honest. They couldn't cope up with it, It's too much. Yeah. Let's say that they had the greatest brain, they just couldn't keep up with it. In terms of, they could not, the second line says, Jave Kyane Minguna, Mingu, me as in negation, gu as in satisfied, or something like that. Not even the Tathagatas could please them, satisfy them. The mood and the feeling and the expectations they have, the society has, even they couldn't please it, And so therefore, now in here, once again, by the third line, then Shantideva is being humble, but not to seem humble, of course, and not as to, it's not meant to put us down by saying, we as ordinary, but being very honest, that we as beginners, how can we? Because we are that inexperienced. Because even the experienced ones could not please them, then how can we? And so therefore, by the fourth line says, Thaye jikten sambatang. And so therefore, it's only appropriate to let go of tang means let go. It's only appropriate to let go sampatang. Sampa means the thought, the idea, the dream, the aspiration of pleasing the ever-changing pattern of the local community or local pattern, jikten, loka. Therefore, it's only appropriate, it's only natural to let go. Not that we must, we have to, it's a mission, but it's only natural to let go. So, we have reached till the 22nd verse. Do you have any questions? I mean, we can all agree just by going through his literature that we can feel a little bit too impressed by what he's saying. Yes. And therefore, it is possible that we can feel wonderful, wonderful, thank you, but I cannot do this. It's possible. Yeah. It's too far. We are. What is the way of saying? We are worlds apart. But I don't know. I mean, if it makes sense. We would like to think that we are living in the most advanced society, yes, in the most advanced era. But Shantideva was how many years ago? 1300, yes. And you can just only imagine what kind of society it was, Yes, archaeologically one can describe how advanced they were. Social structure, economic, everything was pristine, The more and more we dig up, the more and more proofs we find, yes, how advanced the civilization of the great Bharat was, actually. But nevertheless, if you compare to what kind of information technology we have to be able to globalize everything and to have almost everything at the click of a finger, then we can feel a little bit, if not confident or proud, we can feel somewhat, we are more liberated in some ways, Yet, in his time, no matter how advanced the living conditions were, social structures were, you could see the structure, the general underlying structure, the theme of life, And so therefore, it's actually very humbling in a way that and both inspiring for us, I think, that if he could, why can't I? In this case, it's not about competition, There comes a line later on about how to make the idea of competition, in a very healthy way, like sports, So in a similar way, we can use it, if not at least to appreciate and inspire us that if he could do it, I can do it, because I have far more information. I have far more luxury. I have far more time, space, health. And so therefore, actually I can probably do better, if you are not being too proud, One of the inspiring things about our lineage, it says, I forgot whether it was Naropa or someone else who said that, Lama Wei Jiang Yang Lop Zang, which is a Tibetan way of saying, means that if the teacher or the master is experienced or knowledgeable, that there is the auspicious connection that the student or the children or the descendant will be even greater, And so in that sense we can take immense pride, comfort, confidence that I can do better, But the first and foremost it is that I can do it. Yeah. If he could do it, because life was, although there was development, there was great many advanced medicine, health, economy, everything. At the same time, there were great turmoils and tensions, challenges that we face nowadays, because each society is living, as I said earlier, living under one level of magnification, nothing more. It's very it's too rigid for them to zoom in and zoom out. It's very difficult. Only when there is a competition or an opposition, that's when they sort of redirect, but they don't zoom in and zoom out, They just redirect. And then back and forth, And so therefore, as a result, a simple problem becomes a big problem, and they become consumed by that. We are in a way where we can zoom in and zoom out, not just shuffle the focus, And so actually, if we try, actually we can do amazing, yes. And so therefore, but the way to do it is what Shantideva is saying. Not to be too modest and humble, Say, no, I cannot do it, you do, please. I'm so small, I'm so this and tiny and this and that. At the same time, not saying, I'm it, but being very genuine, truthful that, yes, I know my limits, That just came to my mind, one animation during the 90s or something. I don't remember the title of the animation, but there was it was about the Robinsons or something, I don't know. And then there was a T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus, and then the boss of it was saying, catch that or grab that person, grab that boy, And then he was trying, but he was stuck because T-Rex have very short hands, yes. And then he was telling the master, I cannot do it because I'm genetically disposed, And so therefore, that stuck with me. I thought, that's another interesting point, And so therefore, we have to, not that we have to, but it's, if you wish to become or to follow the pattern or the footsteps of Shantideva or the ways of the Bodhisattvas, then the only way is to accept our limitation first and foremost. And so there's no shame in accepting that we are a beginner, And from there, we can do wonders, Yeah. The first chapter maybe, or maybe it was the third chapter, if I'm correct. It says that sleep, of course, there's a lot of debate about what is sleep, is there sleep? And if there is sleep, or the state of sleeping, then what happens, this and that, Do we dream? Furthermore, branches out, yes? Creates more and more patterns, And then is there good sleep, bad sleep, good dreams, bad dreams, nightmares? Do they signify something? All that, yes. That's a whole other universe to go through. Yeah. Fascinating, really. And we can get stuck there for an eternity. Yeah. Yet at the same time, we can only sleep for so long. We can dream for so long. Actually, we don't really dream much, actually. We only dream just after falling asleep, before we enter into the whole zombie state, totally unconscious, So it's just a fine line. Just as our body became tired, could not take it anymore, or was overdosed, And so therefore there's a fine line between there and before becoming unconscious almost. Yes. And after that it's just the body doing its own thing. The mind is completely sort of numb. So there is numbness, yes. So it's only in that period and just before we wake up, I mean, this is my theory. I'm not. You don't have to quote me in the academic thesis, But this is my theory. Yes. So just before we wake up, once again, the body is basically hungry. It's thirsty, and so therefore it's saying, mangiare. Yes. And so therefore then habit sort of it's ignited, and then habits, whatever habits we generally have, and then whatever habits we had during the past day or two, or whatever experiences we had, or whatever we were doing and thinking and talking about, verbalizing outwardly or inwardly before our sleep, those come back, yes. And so therefore our mind is sort of trying to sort of restart, sort of like starting an engine, So therefore we're just playing with our residual sort of way of working with our habitual pattern. It's just that at that time what we say, the faculties, the 5 faculties are a little bit dimmed, And so therefore the mind has a slight space, if there is a mind, is that it has a tiny little moment, basically a few seconds actually. It's not hours. We feel like I dreamt for hours. In fact, I felt like I dreamt for a whole lifetime, And I went through this, I went through that, and I cried, I laughed, and so on. But in fact, it's just few seconds. But those few seconds are not bound by, in this case, bound by time. Yes? And so therefore, it's not just extending a few seconds into minutes and hours. It's just a whole other universe, because it's completely sort of, not completely, but somewhat detached from the 5 senses. And so, but starting to make the connections, the neurons are firing, yes? And so therefore, it's a fine line. So during that time, all kinds of strange impressions come, yes? And so sometimes some of them are overwhelming, and so therefore we feel it's too much to take. And then the habitual patterns kick in by saying we have, the habit is saying, this is good, this is bad, this is risky, And then those zigzag, and then as a result, when the mind experiences something overwhelming, then we immediately judge, judging habits take place. And therefore we think that's a monster, that's a, this and that. So it's like that. Not here, not there. the Bodhisattva's way of saying is that the source of inspiration lies right in front of us. Yeah. Nowhere else. We don't have to look anywhere else for that inspiration. And that is none other than what we say, society in general, then peers, friends, family, or whichever order we like, you know. And so they are the source. Because if you look at them or view them, observe them, not in the way that we used to till now, you know, but in a very fresh way. Like we all always feel that I wish I had a fresh vision, you know. I wish I could think in a new way. Yes, this is it. It doesn't get any more fresh than this, you know. So in that sense, from that perspective, if you view it, where was I? View it, yes. Then there's nothing like it. Yeah. Because our purpose is not to revere or pay respect, homage to the practice, you know, and make it more fun, make it more enjoyable, you know. It's the formal practice or guidance or expertise is it's a lens, you know. It's a fresh lens, you know. And so through that, I will focus on the same thing, you know, my world or our world, the same world, no other alien world or something, you know. But now, this time round, I will be able to see something very different, like a poet, you know. For the first time, we will become great writers, great singers, great musicians, in short, great artists. Provided that, of course, they are original, you know, and that makes our life, or I mean, basic. There's something called the Yang Dalpian Soa in aspect of the Eight Noble Path. That's it, Eight Noble Path. Yeah. And so therefore there's one that says the Samyak Soa, Yang Dalpian Soa, Sanskrit. But I just know the first part. Yang Dakpa in Tibetan means Samyak. Yeah. In English, it always says right lifestyle or way of living. And I heard through many teachers that the term right is a little bit extreme. Yeah. It's then what about the left way of of living, you know? And so now samyak means something like appropriate, decent, meaningful. Yes, in English we have to describe it like that, you know. Coherent, complete. Probably complete is quite complete, and coherent probably is more. Yeah. So that way of living, so means that, you see, once again, we are dealing with what is in front of us, you know. We know, we accept that I'm here, I have a body, and so it needs physical nourishment because it feels, it looks, it is agreed by society. On my own, I can see it's physical. On my own, I can see it's tangible. It needs nourishment. And what I think and feel is agreed by the rest, the so-called the society. Yes? And so therefore, I need to nourish it. I need to clothe it. I need to have a shelter. And I must make this part of activity sustainable, but not, I would say, extreme, by having, 10 shelters, or 10 breakfasts, I can only eat one portion of breakfast, yes. And so, like that, becoming a poet, becoming an artist, yet at the same time, if we are skillful, we could turn that into, sustaining myself, yes, sustaining my body, sustaining my being, my conditioned state. Then there's nothing like it, yes. It's not excessive, yet at the same time it's sustaining, and I can continue to make it, as you said, fun, The practice doesn't need fun, It's perfect or it's clear on its own. It doesn't demand credit, respect, reverence, nor does it judge or punish, nothing at all. It's just a tool, nothing else. It's just a lens, And so, what we felt like was fun or is fun till now, maybe just the tip of the iceberg. We don't know what real fun is, And so with this help of this lens, who knows, maybe there is something greater than just the tip. And so therefore, then it's meaningful, then it's ecological, or healthy, if you would like to put. So therefore, just you don't have to have this fear that I brought a foreign entity, into my happy, nice life. But now this is like an in-law, I have to prove to everyone that, please, like this lens, No, it's not like that. And instead, you can just know that I have a new way of viewing, In fact, there's nothing foreign about it. It's just a metaphor. Instead, through this, however much comfortable, nice I felt so far, I can see further. And in fact, I can enjoy further. Okay. Okay, we're in the most busiest nation, where in its capital, immensely populated, and then in the midst of all this busyness, now we have this space. Yes, we don't know why we bought our tickets to come here, We could have been on a nice holiday or spend time with our family, but nevertheless, we are stuck here, Dadgummit. And so therefore now, rather than just being bored and solve word puzzles, Sudoku, is it? I don't know how to play it. I don't like that game. It's too much stress. Anyway, so instead we will just make the most of it, and in fact apply what Shantideva was saying. This is meant to be a vihara. This is meant to be a place of peace, tranquility. I shouldn't have said those words. But basically some form of isolation, to be more honest, but in the best possible sense. And so therefore, we will, whatever time we have in terms of formally, right now we will be focusing on the practice of Chenrezig. And after the formality, the formal practice, we will go to, we will visit the washrooms, we will go for dinner, we will have interesting conversations or moments of silence, that we would like to turn all of this into something meaningful, Basically meaningful meaning we would like to do this from a perspective that I want to do something new. We all like new, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit. We love that, yes. Fresh air. Nicely dried clothes from the dryer, yes. And the smell, the comfort, yes. You just want to hug that, And so, and I just say, we basically, we don't acknowledge, basically, but we like something that is fresh, yeah. But we don't know what it is, And so therefore, if we can tell ourselves that it's not necessarily a holy day, holy days, to be here. Or maybe it is holy day, We commonly say holiday, but it's coming from the term holy day, yes. Who knows? Maybe this is holy, because it's spiritual in an honest sense, because material, spiritual, yes. So we are being honest in a sense, that spiritual, and then going further in. Who is the most holiest of all, or the most spiritual of all? Me, So I'm working on me, yes. And so therefore, in that sense, if we right now formally meditate, after meditation, and then before we go to bed, before we dream, before we have nightmares, yes, we can have fun, we can enjoy, yes. So this is my wish. So let's now meditate formally.